Today we are going to discuss about the stomach. Stomach, it is a muscular bag-like structure forming the most widest and dilated part of the GIT. At the upper end, it connects with the lower end of the esophagus, while at the lower end, it continues with the duodenum. It acts as a reservoir of food and it helps in digestion of the carbohydrate, fat and protein. To see the stomach in situ, we have cut this anterior abdominal wall and reflected it. So, here you can see this is the liver and this is greater omentum. To see the stomach, we have to reflect the liver. Below the liver, you can see the muscular bag. This muscular bag is stomach, which is most dilated and widest part of the GIT. Here you can see the lesser curvature of the stomach, and this one is the greater curvature of the stomach. The lesser curvature of the stomach gives attachment to the lesser omentum, while the greater curvature of the stomach gives attachment to greater omentum. So, you can see the attachment of the greater omentum to the greater curvature of stomach. In thorax, here you can see a muscular tube, that is esophagus, which passes through the esophageal opening of the diaphragm and it continues with the cardiac end of the stomach. If we see the capacity of stomach, in newborn it is around 30 to 50 ml only, but in adult the average capacity of the stomach is 1000 to 1500 ml. The fundus of the stomach is filled with the air even when the stomach is empty, and the amount of the fundic air is 50 ml in case of adult. Location of the stomach is in the upper left part of the abdomen. It occupies the epigastric region, umbilical and left hypochondrium region. The location of stomach, it occupies the epigastrium, umbilical and left hypochondrium of the abdominal region that you can see. Shape of the stomach. In cadaver, the stomach is sickle shaped, the wider end being directed upward and to the left, while in the living, the stomach is J shaped. Clinically, stomach present three types: sthenic or the normal type of stomach where the longer limb of the J is slightly oblique. Next, hypersthenic type in which the J is very oblique, and these people are more prone to suffer from the duodenal ulcer. And the third type of this stomach is hyposthenic or the aesthetic type where the J is mostly vertical, and these people are more prone to suffer from the gastric ulcer. Parts of the stomach. The stomach presents two orifices, the cardiac orifice and the pyloric orifice. Two borders, lesser curvature and the greater curvature of the stomach. Two surfaces, antero-superior surface and the postero-inferior surface, and it presents three subdivisions: the fundus of the stomach, body of the stomach and the pyloric part of the stomach. Cardiac orifice. It is situated about 2.5 cm to the left of the median plane, behind the left 7th costal cartilage at the level of T11 vertebra, and it lies about 10 cm deep to the anterior abdominal wall. Physiologically, there is presence of the sphincter in the cardiac orifice, but anatomically, we cannot demonstrate the presence of sphincter at this level. Pyloric orifice. It is demarcated by a circular groove which is known as the pyloric constriction, and in living it presents pre-pyloric vein of the myo. The pyloric end of the stomach is thicker, more superficial and more movable as compared to that of the cardiac end, and sometimes the pyloric end is stained with the bile. If we see the situation of this pyloric end, it is situated about 1.25 centimeter to the right of the median plane at the level of lower border of L1 in case of supine position, and the stomach should be empty. Lesser curvature. Lesser curvature, it is J shape, more fixed, forms the right border, and it lies at a more posterior plane as compared to that of the greater curvature. The most dependent part of the lesser curvature is known as incisura angularis. Lesser curvature gives attachment to two layers of the lesser omentum, which contains anastomosis between the right and left gastric artery. Greater curvature, it forms the left border of the stomach, and it is more superficial, more movable, and it is about 4 to 5 times larger than that of the lesser curvature. The greater curvature begins at the cardiac notch on the left side of the cardiac orifice, then it arches upward, backward and to the left, which forms the fundus of the stomach, and the summit of this fundus, it reaches up to the left fifth intercostal space. Thereafter, it presents convexity towards the downward and left. It crosses the tip of the left 10th costal cartilage, and it ends at pyloric orifice. Opposite incisura angularis, greater curvature, it bulges downward at the pyloric antrum, which is limited on each side by small groove on the greater curvature. Greater curvature gives attachment to gastrophrenic ligament at the cardiac end. Opposite the fundus, it gives attachment to gastrosplenic ligament, and the rest of the greater curvature gives attachment to the greater omentum. And within the greater omentum, it presents the anastomosis between right and left gastroepiploic artery. Anterior or anterosuperior surface of the stomach, it faces upward and forward, and it is related to the many structures. So, the right part of this surface extending from cardiac orifice to the pyloric orifice, including lesser curvature, it is related to left lobe of liver and quadrate lobe of the liver. The upper left part of the stomach, including fundus and the part of the body, it is related to the diaphragm beneath the left costal margin. On the left side, upper part, it is related to the gastric impression of the spleen. Outside the diaphragm, it is related to left pleura, base of the left lung, pericardium and heart, and 6th to 9th costal cartilage. The area of the surface between the liver and the costal margin, this triangular area, that is known as the gastric triangle, which comes in direct contact with the anterior abdominal wall. In empty stomach, the lower part of the anterosuperior surface comes in contact with the transverse colon. So, the triangular area on the anterosuperior surface is known as the gastric triangle. It is bounded by, on the right side by lower border of the liver, on the left side by the left costal margin, and below by the transverse colon. So the clinical importance of this gastric triangle: in complete esophageal obstruction, a tube is introduced in the stomach through this triangle for feeding the patient, and such operations are known as gastrostomy operation. One important clinical space that is related to the fundus of the stomach, that is known as Straub's space. So it is a topographic space overlying the fundus of stomach, which is tympanic on percussion. This space is bounded above by the lower border of the left lung, below by the left costal margin, on the right side by the lower border of the left lobe of liver, and on the left side by the lateral end of the spleen. So this space, it is obliterated by the enlargement of liver, spleen, or in case of the pleural effusion. So if this space gets obliterated, then there may be pathology related to the lung, liver, or spleen. The posterior or the postero-inferior surface, it faces backward downward, and this surface is covered with the peritoneum of the lesser sac, while the anterior or anterior superior surface is covered with the peritoneum of greater sac. The postero-inferior surface, it is related to the number of the important structure which are separated from the stomach by means of cavity of the lesser sac. So these important structures which comes in contact with the postero-inferior surface, they form the stomach bed. So in this figure we can see the structure forming the stomach bed. So in the upper part, the left crus of the diaphragm, then left suprarenal gland, anterior surface of the left kidney, then tortuous splenic artery, anterior surface of the pancreas, anterior layer of the transverse mesocolon, and sometimes left colic flexure. These structures, they separate from the postero-inferior surface of the stomach by the cavity of the lesser sac. On the left side, in the upper part, the gastric impression of the spleen comes in contact when the stomach is distended, but the spleen is separated from the surface by the recess of the greater sac. Subdivisions of stomach. It consists of fundus, body, and pyloric part. Fundus, it is the part of the stomach above a horizontal line passing through the cardiac notch to the greater curvature of the stomach. It is filled with the air when the stomach is empty. Fundus extends beneath the left cupola of the diaphragm, and it reaches up to the left fifth intercostal space. Body, it is separated from the pyloric part by an imaginary plane oblique line extending from the incisura angularis to the notch on the left side of the pyloric antrum. So this is the body of the stomach. Next is the pyloric part, which is subdivided into pyloric antrum, pyloric canal, and the pyloric orifice. A sulcus intermedius intervenes between the pyloric antrum and the pyloric canal. The average length of the pyloric part is 10 cm, out of which the pyloric antrum, it consists of 7.5 cm, and the pyloric canal is about 2.5 cm. And this is the pyloric orifice. To see the cavity of the stomach, we have cut it along the lesser curvature. So now you can see the cavity of the stomach. In the cavity of the stomach, you can see the mucosal folds. The mucosa of an empty stomach which thrown into fold, they are termed as gastric rugae. They are longitudinal along the lesser curvature while they are irregular at the other side. And this rugae, they get flattened in distended stomach. Between this mucosal fold, there are numerous gastric pit. Gastric gland open in this gastric pit. The part of the lumen of the stomach that lies along this lesser curvature, it has longitudinal rugae and it is known as the gastric canal or Magen-Stress. This canal allows rapid passage of the swallowed liquid along the lesser curvature directly to the lower part before it spreads to the rest of the cavity. Thus, lesser curvature, it bears maximum insult of the swallowed liquid, which makes it vulnerable for the peptic ulcer. To see the relations of the stomach in situ, we have reflected the anterior abdominal wall. Now, within the abdominal cavity, you can see liver, stomach, dome of diaphragm that we have reflected upward. Below the diaphragm, you can see the spleen. This is the transverse colon and these are the coils of the small intestine. The greater omentum, which is attached to the greater curvature of the stomach, which covers the coils of this intestine, that we have removed for the better vision. Now, relation of cardiac orifice of stomach. So, this is the cardiac end of stomach, which is covered anteriorly with the peritoneum and it is related to the left lobe of the liver. Posteriorly, cardiac end, it presents triangular bare area and it gives attachment to gastrophrenic ligament, which at the other end attached to the diaphragm. Then pyloric orifice. This pyloric orifice, anteriorly it is related to quadrate lobe of liver. Here you can see this is the quadrate lobe of liver. So, pyloric orifice is related to quadrate lobe and falciform ligament anteriorly, while posteriorly it is related to neck of pancreas. So, this structure is pancreas. Now, relation of anterior surface of the stomach. The right part of the stomach along with the lesser curvature, it is related to undersurface of left lobe and quadrate lobe of the liver. The fundus, it is covered with the left dome of the diaphragm and sometimes the spleen intervenes between the fundus and the diaphragm. Outside the diaphragm, stomach, it is related to the left lung and pleura. The intermediate area, that is known as the gastric triangle. This is the part of the anterior surface of the stomach which comes in direct contact with the anterior abdominal wall. And this triangle is known as the gastric triangle. Next important space is the Trobbs area, which overlies the fundus of the stomach and it is tympanic on percussion and which get obliterated when there is pathology of spleen, liver or lung. Relations of the posterior surface of the stomach. The structures which comes in contact with the postero-inferior surface, they form the stomach bed. So, Structure forming stomach bed are left crush of diaphragm, tortuous splenic artery, anterior surface of the pancreas, left suprarenal gland, upper part of the anterior surface of left kidney, transverse mesocolon, and sometimes left colic flexure. These structures, they are separated from the stomach by the cavity of the lesser sac. Spleen comes in contact with the upper part of the posterior-inferior surface when the stomach is distended, and it is the only organ of the stomach bed separated from the stomach by the cavity of greater sac. Arterial supply of the stomach. The stomach is supplied by the celiac trunk directly or the indirectly with its branches. The arteries are left gastric artery, which is a branch of celiac trunk. It reaches the lesser curvature within the lesser omentum, and it is the principal artery of the stomach which supplies the upper two-thirds of the stomach. Next branch is right gastric artery, which is a branch of the common hepatic artery. It runs along the lesser curvature of the stomach in the lesser omentum, and it anastomoses with the left gastric branch, and thus it supplies the lower part of the stomach. Short gastric branches, they are 3 to 4 in number, and they are coming from the splenic artery, and it supplies the fundus of the stomach. Next, left gastroepiploic artery, which is again a branch of the splenic artery. It reaches along the greater curvature in the gastrosplenic ligament and the greater omentum. Right gastroepiploic artery, which is a branch of the gastroduodenal artery, anastomoses with this left gastroepiploic artery close to the greater curvature within the anterior two layer of the greater omentum. Blood supply of stomach. For the blood supply of stomach, along the lesser curvature of the stomach, there is anastomosis between left gastric and the right gastric artery. The left gastric artery is a branch of the celiac trunk. So here you can see this is the left gastric artery running along the lesser curvature, and this one is the right gastric artery, which is a branch from the common hepatic, or sometimes it may arise from the gastroduodenal artery. Out of this, left gastric artery is the chief artery of the blood supply for the stomach. Then, blood supply of the stomach along the greater curvature. Here there is anastomosis between right gastroepiploic artery and left gastroepiploic artery. So, this right gastroepiploic artery is a branch from the gastroduodenal artery. So, here you can see the common hepatic artery. From the common hepatic, the gastroduodenal artery, and from the gastroduodenal, there is origin of the right gastroepiploic artery, which runs along the greater curvature of the stomach and anastomoses with the left gastroepiploic artery, which is a branch of the splenic artery. So this tortuous artery is the splenic artery, and from it there is origin of left gastroepiploic artery. Along with it, the splenic artery also gives some short gastric branches which supplies the posterior surface of fundus of stomach. Venous drainage of the stomach. Veins of the stomach correspond to the artery and drain directly or indirectly to the portal vein. But here the prepyloric vein presents no corresponding artery and the gastroduodenal artery presents no accompanying veins. So the vein, right gastric and the left gastric vein, drains into the trunk of portal vein. The short gastric and left gastroepiploic vein drains into the splenic vein. Then the right gastroepiploic vein, it drains into the trunk of superior mesenteric vein. Peculiarity of this venous drainage is a portocaval anastomosis is present at the lower end of the esophagus between the esophageal tributaries of the left gastric and inferior hemiazygous vein. So, in portal obstruction, at this side the vein gets distended, forming the esophageal varices, and rupture of this varices result in the vomiting of blood, which is also known as hematemesis. For lymphatic drainage, the stomach is divided into 4 territories as shown in the figure. So, according to this, from the area A, which include upper part of left 1/3, lymphatic drains into the pancreatico-splenic lymph node, which lies along the splenic artery. Lymph vessel from this lymph node, it travels along the splenic artery to reach the celiac node. From the area B, which include right 2/3 of the stomach, it drains into the left gastric node, which lies along the left gastric artery. Next, from the area C, which include lower part of left 1/3, lymphatics drain into the right gastroepiploic lymph node that lies along the right gastroepiploic vessels. Lymph vessels from this, it drains into the subpyloric lymph node, which lies in the angle between the first and second part of the duodenum. From here it goes to the hepatic node, and from the hepatic node ultimately the lymph reaches to the celiac node. The lymph vessels from the area D, which includes the pyloric part of the stomach, drains into the different direction into the subpyloric lymph node, hepatic node or the celiac node directly. Ultimately all the vessels reach to the celiac nodes. From all the area of the stomach, all the lymph vessels ultimately reach the celiac node, and from the celiac node it passes through the intestinal lymph trunk to reach the cisterna chyli. Nerve supply of the stomach. Stomach is supplied by both sympathetic as well as parasympathetic. The sympathetic fibers arise from the lateral horn cell of the T6 to T9 segment of the spinal cord, and this fiber reaches the celiac plexus. The postganglionic fiber, from here it reaches to the stomach around the perivascular coat of the artery of the stomach. The sympathetic fiber, they are primarily vasomotor, and it also stimulates the pyloric sphincter and inhibit the gastric musculature. Sensory sympathetic fibers, they convey painful sensation from the stomach, and their cell body, they are located in the dorsal root ganglia of T6 to T9, and that's why the pain of the gastric ulcer is felt in the epigastric region because of the same segmental supply. Now, parasympathetic nerve supply of the stomach, it derived from the both vagus nerve in the form of anterior and posterior vagal trunk. The anterior vagal trunk, after entering into the abdominal cavity, it divides into hepatic branch and the gastric branch. The hepatic branch passes towards the porta hepatis. Here it divides into ascending and the descending branch. Ascending branch, it supplies the liver, gallbladder and biliary passage, while the descending branch, which is also known as pyloric branch, subdivide in the form of inverted Y shape to supply the prepyloric stomach, pyloric sphincter and the duodenum. So, in operation of the selective vagotomy, these branches they remain undivided so that motility of the prepyloric part is retained without increasing the acid secretion. The gastric branch of the anterior vagal trunk is known as nerve of Leyterjet. It runs along the lesser curvature, reach up to the incisura angularis. It gives 6 to 10 branches to the anterosuperior surface of the stomach and supply it. The terminal branches of this gastric branch, they resemble the appearance of crow's feet. The posterior vagal trunk, it is mainly formed by the right vagus and it divides into the celiac and the gastric branch. The main gastric branch of the posterior trunk, known as nerve of Leyterjet, runs along the lesser curvature and extend up to the angular notch. In its course, it provides 6 to 10 branches to supply the postero-inferior surface of the stomach. Sometimes this posterior vagal trunk near the gastroesophageal junction, it gives a small branch to the fundus of the stomach that is known as the nerve of Grassi. The celiac branches, it passes around the gastric artery and ultimately it reaches to the celiac plexus to supply the other abdominal organ. The parasympathetic fibers, they stimulate the gastric musculature and inhibit the pyloric sphincter, as well as parasympathetic fiber are secretomotor to the gastric glands. Section of the vagal trunk is known as vagotomy, is sometimes performed to reduce the production of the hydrochloric acid in patient with the peptic ulcer. Vagotomy, it may be truncal, selective or highly selective type. In truncal vagotomy, it involves section of main trunk of both the vagus. So, here in such cases, after the operation, entire stomach becomes atonic, and to ensure the gastric emptying, we have to do pyloroplasty by destroying the pyloric sphincter or gastrojejunostomy to allow the food to bypass the pyloric sphincter. In selective vagotomy, there is section of nerve of Leyterjet of both the vagi, but the drawback of this, there is diminished mobility of the pyloric antrum and delayed gastric emptying. So, for the better result, surgeons prefer highly selective vagotomy in which it denervates only those small branches on the left side of both the nerve of Leyterjet which supply acid-bearing area of the stomach. Function of the stomach. Stomach acts primarily as a reservoir of the food, and it also acts as a mixer of the food. The gastric gland produce hydrochloric acid which destroy many organisms that present in the food. The lining cell of the stomach, it produce abundant mucus and which protect the gastric mucosa from the corrosive action of this hydrochloric acid. Next, the gastric gland, it produces the gastric juice which contains many enzymes that play an important role for the digestion of the food. Next function of the stomach is by its peristaltic movement, it softens and mixes the food with the gastric juice and it make it easier for the further digestion in the small intestine. So this type of food produced within the stomach, that is known as the chyme. Some substances like alcohol, water, salt and few drugs, they are directly absorbed within the stomach, and the most important function of the stomach, it produces the intrinsic factor of Castle, which helps in the absorption of vitamin B12. Gastric pain is felt in the epigastric region because the stomach is supplied from the T6 to T9 segment of the spinal cord, which also supplies the upper part of the anterior abdominal wall. And this pain is produced either by the spasm of the muscle or by the over distension. Peptic ulcer can occur in the stomach, first part of duodenum, lower end of esophagus and Meckel's diverticulum. In the stomach, gastric ulcer typically occurs along the lesser curvature. There are some important factors which are responsible for the ulceration along the lesser curvature. They are like the epithelium along the lesser curvature is comparatively thin. Mucosa is not freely movable over here. Blood supply along the lesser curvature is less abundant with fewer anastomosis, while nerve supply is more abundant with large ganglia. And because of the presence of gastric canal along the lesser curvature, it receives most of the insult from the irritating drinks. As we have seen, lesser curvature is shorter in length, so the wave of contraction of peristalsis stay longer at a particular point, and the important causative factor for the ulceration near the lesser curvature is the infection of the H. pylori. Gastric ulcers are common in people who are always in hurry and they are mostly worried with having spicy curry. So, to avoid gastric ulcer, say no to hurry, worry and spicy curry. Gastric ulcer is resistant to healing and it persists for years. So, to prevent the effect of the hydrochloric acid for the healing, to promote the healing, give patient to antacid or go for the partial gastrectomy or vagotomy depending on the patient's condition. Teapot stomach. This deformity occurs due to the ulceration and destruction of the lesser curvature. When the ulcer heals, there is shrinkage of the lesser curvature which leads to the teapot shaped stomach, and such shape of the stomach mainly seen in the barium meal study. Hourglass deformity of the stomach. It is a deformity of the stomach in which the waist of the stomach is constricted by fibrosis caused by chronic peptic ulcer, which produce an upper and lower cavity separated by a narrow channel. So the shape of the stomach resembles like a hourglass. That is known as the hourglass deformity of the stomach. Next clinical condition of the stomach is gastric carcinoma. Gastric carcinoma is common and it occurs along the greater curvature, and for this the lymphatic drainage of the stomach is important because the metastasis from the gastric carcinoma can occur through the thoracic duct to the left supraclavicular lymph node. An enlargement of this left supraclavicular lymph node
This sign is known as the Troyer's sign, while these lymph nodes are called as signal lymph node, and it is common in the persons having blood group A. Linitus plastica. It is a type of gastric adenocarcinoma. Here, there is diffuse fibrous proliferation of the submucous connective tissue of the stomach, resulting in thickening and fibrosis of the wall, so that the organ become constricted, inelastic and rigid like a leather bottle. So, such stomach is also known as leather bottle stomach. Next is pyloric obstruction. It can be congenital or acquired. If there is pyloric obstruction, it causes visible peristalsis in the epigastrium and vomiting after meals. Hypertrophic pyloric stenosis is a congenital defect with a neuromuscular incoordination of thickened pyloric sphincter. In this condition, the infant suffers from progressive vomiting within 2 weeks to 2 months of postnatal life. In such conditions, surgical division of hypertrophied muscle may be necessary, and such operation is known as Ramstad's operation.